Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Teed Up. I'm David.
I'm Justin.
As always, we appreciate you tuning in. I hope everyone's doing well. Listen, man, we're getting closer and closer by the day to the return of the NBA. Seriously, it's going to take a while. It's not going. It'll feel like a while, but it's only a month away if you think about it. A month and a half away. A month and 2
So
weeks.
it's only really 3 weeks, I think, till training camp starts.
Yeah, I mean, the day that we're recording this, it's what is it? What's today? The 13th?
It's 13th, yeah. So 3
13th.
weeks about? No, maybe 4. 3.5 weeks.
Four weeks. 3.5 weeks. 4 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're nearly there, and they just moved it up a day. And a lot of people were complaining about getting it moved up a day. Like, oh, it's only 1 day. Who cares? That 1 day is going to hit different when it's July 29th.
That's true.
That 1 day is going to hit way different. So can't wait for that. Got some news today. Got some things we want to discuss about the seating, things like that. Before we get into all that, we did want to mention to you guys about our Patreon page. We do have a Patreon page. We'll put a link in the description for that. Help donate to the show. Help support the show if you can. You get a lot of insights. You get early access to episodes. You get shout outs in the video. Want to give a shout out to our first Patreon supporter, Luke McClatchy. Shout out to you. So yeah, link in the description. You can get laptop decals, T-shirts if you sign up. So and the first membership starts at $3 a month. So that's a bargain. So the first thing we wanted to get into, this news actually came out today, was about Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving has been pretty vocal. He held a Zoom call because he's the leader of the Players Association, saying that he doesn't support going to Orlando to play because he feels that people will get distracted by pretty much everything going on in the news with the racial injustice, with police brutality. So Justin, I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on what Kyrie's doing and what he's trying to persuade these players to do?
He's being stupid. He's being selfish. I mean, Kyrie already got his money. He's set for life now. Meanwhile, you got these other guys out here. They're playing for their next big contract. They're out here trying to make a living off of this. You're saying don't go back and play, but some of these guys need the money. Some of these guys need to go play. And he's not looking at it in that. He's looking out for other people, but not other people in the NBA. He's not looking out for the other people, his other teammates. He needs to kind of reassess what he's thinking. He needs to just shut up. I mean, he wasn't going to play anyway, so why is it his business, in my opinion? I get, he wants the whole center stage for the politics and stuff, but, come on. The players can use this as a perfect opportunity to help support that if that's what he wants. The players can wear the I Can't Breathe shirts. The players can raise a fist. They can't knee according to the NBA rules, but they could go raise a fist like they've done before in the past. They can use this platform and use the opportunity they're given here to help show support for this Black Lives Matter movement and other stuff like that. So now this would actually help, in my opinion. It wouldn't take away from it. It would actually help. And I mean, when you got these guys working for money and working for their contracts, you can't be telling other people not to go play because they're losing out on the money. You already got your money. You're fine. You got your guaranteed big contract. He's going to get paid. He's set for life. He's not worried about these other rookies and other players that are on 1-year deals. They're trying to make a living they're trying to make money for their next contract. He's not thinking about that. He needs to, he's looking at it. He's kind of being selfish in a way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I can kind of see where Kyrie is coming from, but not play to not play at all and to say that you don't want to play at all, that's a little ridiculous. I mean, nobody is just going to forget the fact that there's a police brutality problem, that there's racial injustice in America. Nobody's just going to forget that. Nobody's going to forget George Floyd being killed solely because of the color of his skin. Nobody's going to forget that just because the NBA came back. All right. And so many players, like you said, are gonna take their platform. And as you see this, you've seen this with every sport. You've seen this with in the past with the NBA, that players use their platform, and it's great, because a lot of people look up to a guy like LeBron James, for example, and he is so vocal about his political beliefs and standing for justice and for racial justice and standing against police brutality. So people look up to LeBron as like their hero, and they see that, and he can influence his fans and a lot of people to bring awareness. So I don't think playing basketball, playing sports, would take people away from the fact that there's a lot of problems in this country.
No, and I don't think one guy like Kyrie Irving should be enough to say we're not playing basketball. I think there would have to be some major stars like a LeBron, Kawhi, Giannis that would have to say something for this to happen. I mean, Kyrie wasn't even going to play anyway when the playoffs were originally supposed to start. I doubt he's coming back now to finish off these couple games. If he's smart, he wouldn't play because why would he risk injury when the Nets aren't going anywhere? And the Nets honestly played better without him, so I don't understand why they would bring him back. I think he should just sit out anyway. So if
Right.
that's his opinion, just stay home and don't go then. And you go support whatever you want to support and don't watch the NBA if that's how you feel. But don't control other people who are trying to make a living off this and trying to do other stuff off this. You
Right.
can't say no to them. Like, honestly, if that's your opinion, great, then don't play. But if 90% of the people in the NBA want to do it and it has all the stars on board, then it's going to happen.
Right. And another thing that I wanted to mention is if you don't want to play because you're scared about your safety, you're scared about not getting sick, you're scared about staying healthy, keeping your family healthy, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a completely different thing. And I honestly, I don't blame you. If you really
That's
don't
what
feel
Joe Ingles
comfortable.
said.
Yeah.
Joe
If
Ingles
you,
said that he's
right.
not playing.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
for the Jazz. He said he's not playing because he doesn't feel safe, and it won't be. He says it won't be comfortable for him. He just would rather sit out the rest of this year. So
Right.
he's not playing.
If you don't feel comfortable for that reason, I completely understand that. But
Mm-hmm.
the fact that, but like, I seriously don't believe that people are just going to forget about police brutality and racial injustice because the NBA is going to continue their season. I think it'll bring even more awareness to it. I mean, you saw, I forget the guy's name, but there was USC on the other night. He was raising a fist, took a knee while his name is being announced. A NASCAR driver, I forget his name. If anybody can tell me, I would appreciate it. It had
Bubba Wallace or
Bubble,
something
yeah,
like it.
Bubba Wallace, I
It's
believe, or something like that.
it's not. It said something like that.
Yeah, but he had Black Lives Matter written on his car. That's
Mm-hmm.
awesome. And people and NBA players can do that. And the NBA gives this platform to bring awareness to these situations.
Yeah, so all these other sports, NASCAR is back. Golf came back this week. Soccer's coming. European soccer is coming back this month. MLS is coming back early July. Hockey's coming back. Baseball may come back. The NFL is going to have their season, no doubt. So I mean, why shouldn't why are you saying the NBA shouldn't come back? Every other sport's gonna come back. You think the NBA is not shouldn't come back just because of this? No, that's stupid.
Yeah. Like I appreciate Kyrie, like I said, using his platform to bring awareness to these, troubling times,
Mm-hmm.
and with all these problems. I applaud him for that, and I applaud any player using their platform to bring awareness to the problems that are going on in this country. Um, but to discontinue the season for that reason,
It'd
I
be
don't.
crazy.
It would be crazy because I feel like it would bring even more awareness by continuing the season.
I don't think the NBA should have anything to do with this. I mean, the NBA, I understand. There's been other times where this has happened. The NBA season, last time the guy, I forget his name, he died, and they wear the I Can't Breathe shirts. I'm blanking on his name. It's not on the top of my head right now. The NBA didn't cancel their season for that. They used their platform then. So this is same situation. They should use their platform here to help spread awareness rather than just canceling the season. That'd be stupid.
Absolutely, and you even have players on the streets of their cities that they play for protesting. You saw a lot of
So
superstars.
many,
You
so
saw
many.
you saw DeMar DeRozan and Russell Westbrook in California. They were protesting. You saw Tobias Harris and Matisse Thybulle and I believe Josh Richardson was there as well in the streets of
Trae
Philly.
Young was down in Atlanta.
Trae Young was in Atlanta.
So
The
was
New York
Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown, absolutely, yeah. So nobody like those players just because that they have to start playing basketball again.
They're not gonna forget about
They're
it.
not just gonna forget that they're being profiled by the police because of the color of their skin. That's just not
Mm-hmm.
going to happen. And by the way, we do have a link in the description. We've been putting a link in the description for any way that you can sign petitions, donate to the Black Lives Matter movement. We encourage you to check out that link. So, but let us know your thoughts on Kyrie's comments. We really want to get you. I just think it's crazy that I honestly think he's crazy. And
I mean, Kyrie is kind of crazy. I mean, remember when he said the Earth is flat?
Kyrie to me, I feel like he just likes to hear his own voice.
He likes it. He's an attention whore. He likes to have a lot of attention on himself. He likes that.
Right. I'm not sure that we
Exact
can.
reason he left Cleveland.
Exactly. I'm not sure that we can say that on this show. Maybe we can. Maybe we can't. I don't know who makes the rules, but
We can.
we can. But I don't know. Maybe Justin will get reported for using foul language, but who knows? Yeah. But let us know what you guys think about this whole Kyrie Irving situation. Like I said, I think it's great that he's speaking out for these problems, but just
To cancel the season over it?
to
No.
cancel the season over, it's just
It's crazy.
that just seems unrealistic to me, honestly.
Mm.
So yeah, like I said, let us know what you guys think. So one thing that we wanted to get into, Justin and I, he was watching the 2012 finals the other day. I was watching the 07 finals the other day, and some of LeBron's old highlights from when he was first in Cleveland before he left to Miami. Excuse me. So and we were kind of bickering off air about who the better player was in those finals, and who was better overall. Like who would you take? So Justin, I'm wondering, over LeBron in his 2007 season or KD in his 2012 season, who would you take and why?
Okay, so I have a lot of different answers here. I have a lot of support to prove my opinion here, but it has to be Kevin Durant. There's no way you can deny that. I mean, Kevin Durant averaged that season more points. He averaged, what was it? I believe it was 28 points per game over LeBron's 27. So he had an extra point. And
And at
let's
one
go through
point,
that. Let's go through that play. Let's go
one
through
point,
that playoff run here.
one
Can we go
point.
through that? First of all, the East was historically weak that year. Only 5 teams in the East had a winning record. Only 5 of them had winning records. The number 1 seed in the East won 14 fewer games than the number 1 seed in the West. The 2 seed in the East won 10 fewer games than the 2 seed in the my bad. The 2 seed in the the 2 seed in the East won 10 fewer games than the 2 seed in the West. And in fact, the number 1 seed, the Pistons, would have been the 4th seed in the West that year. So let's go through the round by round then.
But did
LeBron
you
played
see
the
the? But
Wizards.
did you see
LeBron
the?
played the Wizards. Come
But
on,
did
let me
you
go.
see the? But did you see the team around LeBron? Tell me.
I'll get there.
His
LeBron,
the second best player on that Cavs team was
he had solid
Ilgauskas.
role players. I will get there.
What, Daniel Gibson? Come on.
I will get there. First round, right? LeBron played the 41 and 41 Wizards. This was a very mediocre team. They were 41 and 41, but it was actually even worse than that when he played them. Gilbert Arenas, who was by far their best player on that team, was injured for the entire series. Without Arenas, that team wouldn't have even won 30 games that year. So he played a team that was really a 30-win team in the first round. Let's go to the second round.
Okay, and the Cavaliers wouldn't have made the playoffs.
The Nets were 41 and 41 that year. Another mediocre team. And the Nets were the Wizards they just played, wouldn't even sniff the playoffs in the West. They wouldn't even have been close. I mean, they just weren't good basketball teams that he beat there. He took them down easily. It was nothing there. Then when you get to the Eastern Conference Finals, he played the Pistons. And this is 2007, not 2003. I think people get confused about that. The 2007 Pistons were not an elite team. They were not the defensive juggernaut that was in the 2003-2004 era. The Pistons no longer had 4-time Defensive Player of the Year Ben Wallace. They no longer had Coach Brown. Their best player was Billups, who only made one All-NBA team up to that point. And no one on the team averaged 20 points per game. Not a single player. I mean, their 53 and 29 record was really built on beating the bottom feeders in the East. They beat a very weak East. Same thing with LeBron's record that year. It was built up because he played in a very weak East.
Well, without LeBron on that team, they wouldn't have even made the playoffs. They probably would have won 25 games.
And that Pistons team wouldn't have even won 50 games in the Western Conference if they were playing against that competition.
Everybody knows, but everybody knows the West has always been bigger, has always been stronger than the East since
exactly. That's
time
my point.
immemorial.
I will get there. And then can we go through his playoff averages? He averaged 25 points per game that playoff, shooting 40% from the field, 28 from 3.
He's not a 3-point shooter. Wait. You know LeBron's not a 3-point shooter. You know he's never been.
I'm reading you his shoot. You
No. You can't just say he's 28% from 3 and act like that goes against his track record. You know LeBron's not a 3-point shooter. That's not his specialty. And also,
but 28% is historically low for him.
This was before the 3-point shot was an element of the game. This was before the 3-point shot was an essential to the game.
Can you let me speak here and finish my argument? Then I'll let you talk.
Go ahead.
So he shot 50% true shooting, which is good but not great. And then let's go through the game by game against the Pistons. Game 1, 5 for 15 from the floor, 10 points. Game 2, 7 for 19, 19 points. Game 3, 20 points. And now he played solid in Game 5. I'll give him that. That was very good. But Game 6, it wasn't him. It was Gibson. Gibson scored 31 points. 31 points. Without that, the Cavs go home. Take out LeBron's stats from Game 5 in that series. He had 21%, my bad, 21 points per game, 40% from the field, 27% from three. Not good. It's solid, but not good for him. He should have been doing more than that. He should have been averaging his 28 points per game he was averaging in the regular season.
But why are you bringing in his 3-point percentage?
Because it's his stat line. It's how he scores.
But you know that wasn't an essential part of the game in the 2000s. You know
he
that
still
wasn't.
Took
that was
shots,
the 3-point shot.
He was still one for 4 from every four 3-point shots he took.
You didn't need a 3-point shot until about 2015, midway through the 2010s. That doesn't. Who cares?
Listen, his playoff run in 2007 was just It was just overrated. It was good, but overrated.
He took that garbage.
Game 5 in the Eastern Conference Finals, it wasn't that great.
He took that garbage 2017.
If Gibson didn't come up huge in Game 6, it doesn't really matter. I mean, they would have been done. I mean, let's look at Kevin Durant.
Does everybody save LeBron's career? Ray Allen, LeBron, Kyrie, Daniel Gibson.
Can you give LeBron some credit? Kevin Durant, right? Kevin Durant. His 3 playoff teams he had to get before he got to the finals. He had to go play Dirk's Mavs, Kobe's Lakers with Gasol, Bynum, and Metta World Peace, and then he had to play the Spurs with Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and Kawhi Leonard. Every one of those teams is light years better than any team LeBron had to play up until the finals, where he had
a better team around him.
He did not have that much better team. He had a solid team around him. Russ and Harden. But look at the competition. Harden was mediocre at best at the time back then, and Russ was a very good player. He did have a second best good player, but you also got to remember the era that LeBron played in. LeBron played in a very defensive era back then, where defense won games. That team was very good defensively. It was actually the second best team defensively in the league when you look at the stats. The team had a very good team. They were built correctly. They were built like this year's Bucks. They were built around LeBron. They had some shooters. LeBron ran the offense. And on defense, they were all lockdown defenders out there. They shut down teams. They just shut down teams defensively. They were very good defensively. They fit that era of basketball. That was awesome. That team was good.
That team was atrocious. You take LeBron out of the picture, they're a lottery team.
That Kevin Durant's team loses in the first round without him in that series.
So Kevin Durant had a better team around him.
He had a better team, but he had better competition.
He had a better team around him.
Yeah, he had a better.
And LeBron did this. LeBron did this when he was 22 years old. LeBron was 22 years old and he carried this team.
KD did it at 23. KD carried that team at 23. Same age, same thing, and he didn't get swept in the finals.
He had Russ and Harden.
KD didn't get swept. Harden was not good. He was a sixth man.
He was a good sixth man. He was a solid sixth man back in the day.
He was a sixth man at best.
But he was good.
Wasn't that good. He was an average sixth man back then. Yes, he went on to win an MVP, but he didn't actually shine until he got to Houston.
He was good.
No, he was not.
He was a good sixth man back in the day. He wasn't like Jamal Crawford or Lou Will, but he was good.
No, he was not. He was average at best back then. He was not that good. You are thinking, for somebody that loves James Harden, of course, when it comes to now, when I'm using him in an argument against LeBron, now he's good. Now he's good all of a sudden. But whenever I talk about LeBron or James Harden any other time, he's garbage. He's terrible. He can't play basketball.
I never said he was garbage.
He averaged 12 points per game that year. 12 points per game. Great, right? Good stats.
KD had a great team around him.
He had a good player with him. It wasn't that great of a team. It was solid team.
He had a whole team around him.
He also had to go through a much tougher Western Conference there. He didn't play in the weak East. LeBron played. I went through and listed you every series, every game, and why. If LeBron was in the West, he wouldn't have even won a single series. He wouldn't have won a single series. Not one.
That's ridiculous.
Not one.
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. You put LeBron in the West in the 2000s, he will make it far. He will make a deep playoff run. He would have a finals appearance. Yes, he would.
He wouldn't have even made the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yes, he would.
Because all 4 of those teams in the West were all better than the Pistons team.
LeBron would have gotten around it.
He would not.
That year he averaged 27, 6, and 6.
Cool. Kevin Durant
shot almost 50.
Stats in
shot almost 50%. They had around the same stats. Okay. So I look at it. KD averaged 1 more point. LeBron beats him in assists. I'll give it to you because LeBron's more of a passer than KD. That I will give you. Shot 50%. They had the same stat line, but KD just had the better team around him.
Not, I mean, he had a better teammate, but the whole team, that
Not
Cavs team
even a
was actually
teammate,
a
just a
deep
team.
roster. That Cavs team was actually a very deep roster. They had good players.
It wasn't.
They didn't have
It was
stars.
garbage.
They did not have stars, but they
Outside of
had good role
Zandro
players.
Stogalskis and Daniel Gibson.
Daniel
That's
Gibson
it.
put up 31 points and saved them in Game 6.
In one game.
In Game 6, they're
In
going
one
to go home.
game.
LeBron shot 3 for 11 in Game 6.
It's one game.
The field. He shot 3 for 11 from the
One game
field.
doesn't.
Daniel Gibson
It's one
saved him.
game.
Daniel Gibson saved him.
So everyone just said.
Was,
so what? Everyone's just saves LeBron's career. Ray Allen saved LeBron's career. Kyrie saved LeBron's career.
He saved him in Game 6.
Daniel Gibson saved LeBron's career. Everyone just saves
he does not
LeBron.
make the
LeBron
finals
doesn't do anything.
If he didn't win,
that is ridiculous.
If Daniel Gibson
Absolutely
didn't play for the Cavs that year, they would not have made it to the finals. 100%. That would not have happened.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Would not have happened. They would have went into Game 7
ridiculous.
in Detroit. Would not have happened. They would have lost.
That's
100%.
Ridiculous. That's just absolutely ridiculous.
No, it's true.
That's absolutely ridiculous. I gotta. You know what? Here's how we'll settle this. You come over. We'll turn on the Xbox. 2012 Thunder. They're in 2K, right? So are the Cavs from 07. Well, that's how we'll determine it. We'll do a simulation. That's how we'll determine it.
What would that prove?
It would prove me right.
How? You're gonna argue?
I don't know. It's a joke.
Nah, dude. Kevin Durant was better. Kevin Durant.
It's a joke. No, LeBron. No. LeBron was way better. He took that trash team.
It wasn't that trash. It fit that era.
It was atrocious. It was atrocious.
That era of basketball was 3 and D players. That was all it was. They cared about defense.
But you said he built. It was kind of like Giannis's Bucks today, where they built players, not all stars around him. What are you going to compare?
Exactly.
Are you going to compare Daniel Gibson to Chris Middleton? Are you going to compare Zandro Stogalskis to Brook Lopez?
This season, yes. I mean, neither of them were stars. It's the same exact thing. Back then, the game was so slow. It wasn't a fast-paced game. So all these numbers are actually less than what they should have been having in today's basketball game. Today's basketball game, that it's more fast-paced. They get out and run. It wasn't so defensively driven. There's no real defense being played. That's how it works.
That's ridiculous.
No, it's not ridiculous. Kevin Durant was better.
We'll let the people decide.
And he had to play better teams. 100%.
That's just ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous.
You haven't said one reason why he's better other than Kevin Durant had better teammates.
Kevin Durant had better teammates. LeBron took a trash team to the finals. That team was garbage.
Because he was in a weak East. If you look, I gave you
that excuse has been used his entire career. I was in the weak East.
In 2007, it was true. I went through each matchup he played and proved you wrong. He played a real team in the finals. And what happened to him when he got to the finals?
Obviously, he got swept, but that was against the Spurs with Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, and Manu.
Obviously. Yeah. You know who beat them with Kawhi Leonard? Kevin Durant did. Kevin Durant beat him in a series.
That was two different. We're talking 5 years of difference.
Yeah, and they were still. He was able to beat the Spurs. LeBron wasn't.
All right, we got to move on. Let us know what you think in the comments. Who's better, 07 LeBron, 2012 KD? We want to get you guys' thoughts. We're gonna do that 2K matchup though.
Mm-hmm. So when Kevin Durant wins, you'll say, "Oh, it's because he had better teammates."
No, it's just because 2K is a horrible game.
That is true. 2K is a terrible game.
Did you see the new the new trailer?
Yeah, it looked really good actually. I really like that.
Really? I think it looks garbage.
It looked really good actually. I'm excited for it.
I think it looks terrible.
How? It looks really good.
They just look like they added more sweat. And honestly, it looks like the graphics got worse.
That's the same exact thing. That's just the usual meme everyone says. Oh yeah.
No, it's true. No, it's true. No, it's true. They just had more. They just had more sweat, and then they act like they just revolutionized. And even
you got that off a meme page.
No. Well, it's true. It's complete. It's facts.
No,
absolutely fact. And even if
the
that's
gameplay
the case,
is better every year.
No, it's not. Oh my God. Dude.
Every year there's improvements. Every year.
No, there's not, dude. You play 2K15.
There's still a lot of fixes.
No. You play 2K15 and you go to like 2K18. Oh my God, it's terrible.
No, there were things in the game that got worse, but the gameplay itself gets better each year.
The gameplay itself doesn't.
Yes, it does.
How?
The My Career mode and all that stuff has gotten worse, and the My Park neighborhood and stuff has gotten worse, but the gameplay itself has gotten better. It's more realistic. There's more stuff that you can do.
It's really not.
Better.
I was playing with the old Steve Nash team, the Suns. Steve Nash was missing wide open threes. Quentin Richardson had an A+ in three. He was missing wide open threes.
Maybe it's the user, not the player.
No. My release is fire. All right.
Sure. Clearly you weren't greening it.
Listen, I'm competitive when it comes to. I was greening it. I was damn near close to greening it.
Well, if you were greening it, it would have went in because every greenie goes in.
Those are fighting words. I'm very competitive when it comes to 2K, even though it's a trash game. It hasn't been good since 2K16.
You got to get the PlayStation so you can play me.
I'm getting the PS5. Did you see that Xbox? Did you see
how expensive that is? Whew.
Yeah, well, I think it'll go on sale by Black Friday.
Yeah, I would hope so.
That new
range.
That new Xbox too. How much is the new Xbox? The Series X or whatever?
Idea. Probably like more expensive.
It looks like a old computer, like a mini fridge.
No, they look terrible. But...
Both consoles look terrible, but I think the PS5 is going to perform a lot better.
Yeah, I like the PlayStation better. I think it gives you more to play with.
By the way, drop your PSN or your gamer tag. We'll run 2K with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. I got the
or anything.
Honestly, yeah, anything. Call of Duty. I've been playing a lot of zombies. Call of Duty Zombies. Pretty fun. But yeah, so next topic we wanted to get into was start, bench, cut. We do this every episode. Do it with relatively young players. But today we're going to do Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets. And by the way, this is when healthy. So even though Kyrie didn't really play that, he played this season, but he was injured. He was injured for a vast majority of the season. So we have Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets, Damian Lillard of the Portland Trail Blazers, and Russell Westbrook of the Houston Rockets. So Justin, I'm wondering, out of those three, who would you start? Who would you bench? Who would you cut?
That's a tough one.
Because I think tough.
In today's NBA, Kyrie Irving is very underrated compared to what he was. I mean, I think he used to be overrated back when he was on the Cavs and with the Celtics. He was overrated, but now people have kind of forgotten about him. I think he has become a very underrated player. I think he is still very good, but I think his talent, his issue is he's not a good team player in my opinion. I think he is too ball dominant and wants to be the star, even though he needs to be more accepting of having a second star on his team to win. And I got to cut him. I think he is very talented. I think he has some of the best handles in basketball, some of the best passing, but he just is not a team player. He is not a guy. I mean, he used to be with the Cavs, but he let his ego get the best of him. And that's honestly why I have to cut him, because I think he is just as talented as the other two, but his ego has gotten too big for him that I have to cut him. I mean, I think he's very talented. I think he's become underrated by many fans. But because I think most people, when you ask this, will say cut Kyrie, and then it'll be between Dame and Russ. But I have to cut Kyrie just because of his ego and his team. I don't think he quite fits in today's NBA when you combine his talents with an elite player, because he's too ball dominant as a point guard. He wants to score too much. And I mean, it worked with Cleveland, but I don't know if it will work here. Next is another tough one. I'm kind of higher on Westbrook than most. Most people have kind of same situation. I mean, I think OKC Westbrook was very overrated in my opinion, but especially those couple years where he was dropping 30+ point triple doubles. I think he was stat padding and he was not that good. But the way he has been able to develop his game next to a guy who has a huge usage rate, like a guy in James Harden, I mean, most people didn't think it would work. Like, honestly, I thought there was no shot this team was going to work. I thought they were going to be terrible. But, I mean, he's still putting up 27 points per game, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, next to that guy with the highest usage in the NBA, and James Harden. I'm impressed. I really am impressed with that. I mean, I thought he was a stat padder who only cared about his stats, didn't really care about winning. But I think –
Don't tell me you're going to start him over Dame.
The way he has been able to adjust his game is very good.
Don't do it.
But I'm not. I have to bench him. I mean, Russ is very good, very talented. And I think he has become underrated like Kyrie. But Damian Lillard is just so good. Damian Lillard, in my opinion, is the best point guard in basketball right now. I think he is better than Steph when it comes to all-around gameplay, because Steph is a terrible defender. And Steph is no question the better shooter, but I think Damian Lillard is right there with Steph at the top of the point guard list. So when it comes to these three, you just got to give Dame the start because he is the most talented out of these three. He can play defense, he can shoot, he can dribble, he can pass, he can finish. He can do anything you ask him to, night in, night out. And you know what else? He's clutch. He can hit game winners. When your team is down 2, down 5 with a minute or 2 to go, you just give Dame the ball and he will make it happen. I got to start him. He is very talented. He is so good. So good.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I could kind of see where you're coming from, and I somewhat agree with you saying that Damian Lillard is the best all-around point guard in the NBA. Because if you look at Steph Curry in the playoffs, he really never shows up. You know, I was watching the mini movie of the 2016 finals, and Curry doesn't really show up in the playoffs.
He kind of backed off. He let KD kind of, especially in the finals there, he let KD take the lead role there. So I'm not
Right.
sure. Like, obviously, he was able to do it the one year, but then, like, he didn't get finals MVP. Andre Iguodala did. So, honestly, you could make an argument for Curry there, but he didn't get it. I haven't seen Curry kind of win games. I haven't seen him hit too many clutch shots. I haven't seen him
In the
hit a game
playoffs, at
winner.
least.
Yeah, in the playoffs, at least. I haven't seen him go into OKC and hit that game winner or I think it was in OKC, wasn't it? Or was it at home?
It was in OKC.
It was in OKC because I thought he was waving to the fans that he was
The one
knocked
with
them
Mike
out.
Breen from like the logo. Bang.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
OKC.
Yeah. So I've
Yeah.
just seen so much of Dame like that. I mean, I have to get. In my opinion, I would put him ahead of Steph. I think Steph is a better shooter than him, but I think Dame is a better all-around point guard.
I would agree. The only thing is, you know, I as far as taking Russell Westbrook over Kyrie, I can't do it. I don't think people really underrate Kyrie anymore. I think people could overrate him, honestly, in my opinion. I think people
I think he
do
was
overrate.
overrated in Boston.
I think he's
While he
overrated. I
was,
think he's just overrated in general.
but think about, you know how many people have kind of forgotten about Kyrie? I mean, obviously he's in the media right now, so people have known him. But think about it, nobody's really talking about him. People kind of forgot about him. Like back when he was with the Cavs, he was considered a top point guard. Like he was considered in the elite class with Steph and Dame. Like
Well,
he
that's
was up
also
there at the top.
that's also more because of injuries with Kyrie Irving. You know, he is getting more injury prone.
That's another thing.
Yeah,
He
that's
hasn't
that.
played more than I think 70 games the past 4 seasons.
No, and I get that, but you know, for what he does on offense, you know, the handles, the shooting, the athleticism, I think he's better than Russell Westbrook when healthy. So I gotta cut Westbrook,
He's
just because
certainly a better shooter
I
of
would agree
three.
with that, and I think that kind of sets him over just a little bit. It's tough between Westbrook and Kyrie because I'm not really a big fan of either. I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you. Dame, I love. I'm starting Dame, no doubt. Clutch, shooter, athleticism, drive. He's got hops. He can do it all. Best point guard in the league, no
And he
doubt.
can defend.
And great defender. So I'm starting Damian Lillard. I'm benching Kyrie because I have to pick between one of the two. That's how usually all these go. Like I usually have one that I'm just set. I'm like, yo, we're gonna start this guy. The rest of the two could be either I don't care if we cut or bench him. But with this, I'm gonna have to bench Kyrie because he has that jump shot. I think he's a little bit more athletic than Russell Westbrook. I think he's better than Russell Westbrook overall. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to cut Westbrook, bench Kyrie.
I think Westbrook's more athletic than him. I think he's
I
more
think well
explosive. I think he's more.
with the ball, I think Kyrie's more athletic. You know, as far as the handles and you know as
I think
far
he's
as
more. I'll give you he's more flashy, but I don't think he's more athletic. I think Russell Westbrook might be the most athletic person in the league. I think he's the most athletic athlete in the league.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I think he's
Explosiveness, speed. It is like if you watch Westbrook get a rebound and you're sitting down on the lower level, like at a game watching him, and you see him grab that board and just book it up the court and his court vision to make the pass, then or just his speed that he hits a second gear there and he just takes off when he goes down the court to the basket there, and he normally finishes with a pretty nice dunk.
But I think Kyrie is just a little bit more clutch as well. That's the thing. I think Kyrie knows how to close a game better than Russell Westbrook as well.
Westbrook has no idea how to close out a game.
Westbrook is the choker. Westbrook. But if he wants to come on the show and talk to us, be my guest. I'm kidding. Yeah. So that's for me. I'm gonna have to start Dame, bench Kyrie, and cut Westbrook. Let us know what you guys think in the comments section below. DM us on Instagram. We have Twitter and Instagram. Follow us. It's at teed_up _pod. So go check us out on social media. Next thing we wanted to get into was we were kind of talking about this, especially with the league coming back. You kind of know like who's going to win the West, to be honest. I mean, it's kind of a lock between, for me, at least in my opinion, I think it's a lock between the Clippers and the Lakers. I
I would say
personally
they're
think
most talented. I don't think they're a lock. I don't think anyone's a lock now. You have no idea what's going to happen here. I
no,
mean,
I still
who
think
knows?
The Clippers and the Lakers are a lock for the Western Conference Finals.
I really don't know about that. I don't know how these players are going to be come back once they're after this quarantine. Who knows? We haven't seen Kawhi. Kawhi could have
I
been
know.
doing nothing all of this time. LeBron's
Well,
probably
that's because
working out, but
Kawhi doesn't have any social media. Kawhi's a very low key guy. You know that.
yeah, oh yeah. But who knows what Kawhi's been doing? Kawhi, I would, in my opinion, I would love to think Kawhi, and I think most people do think this Kawhi's been doing nothing but grinding and hit, hitting his own personal gym, and getting better. But I mean, who knows? He could be slacking off this whole time. Nobody actually knows what he's doing. And I
I'm
mean,
sh-
same with other players here. Just because we've seen guys like James Harden and Nikola Jokic have both slimmed down and look great, we don't know how they're going to actually play. Like, people are making a big deal. Oh, Jokic is slimmer. He's going to be so good now. His fat was actually what made him so good. He was able to post
exactly.
guys up, knock them over with his fat. Like, he used, like, normally you want a guy to slim down, but a big man like that, he may have slimmed down too much. Some of these pictures, he looks so
Man,
skinny. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
honestly, dude,
It looks
he looks like he hasn't like eaten in like a month.
it looks bad. Like, it looks good, obviously, because he's not fat anymore. But I mean, it's pretty impressive that he was able to cut all that fat out in what, a 2 month period here. I don't know. Who
Here's
really knows what's going to happen? I wouldn't say there are locks. I mean, I would say they're the two favorites, but I wouldn't use the word lock. I think lock's the wrong word there because I don't think it's a guarantee. I think they're the two favorites to win, but I wouldn't say lock.
but I think most people favor the Clippers and the Lakers to win the West.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
would
think
say so
anybody
too.
really
But with
has.
this,
Yeah,
how do you know how people are going to play with no fans? You don't know how they're going to act with
it's gonna
these.
be
You don't know
be
anything.
all right. It's gonna be
It could be a
weird, but
shock. It could be
um,
people could be shocked here.
one thing I did want to say about Jokic, I would have much rather seen him turn that fat into muscle because obviously
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a lot about like bodybuilding and shit. I mean, look at me. But you know the thing about that, it's better to turn fat into muscle rather than just lose the fat and just become
Yeah, I
skinny.
mean, I don't know. I mean, it will be interesting to see. I mean, the good news is he'll be able to get up and down the court quicker, which is definitely one of his liabilities there. He was not the
He
best
gets tired. He
transition
gets tired easily.
defender or transition starter on our offensive end. So that'll
Yeah.
be interesting to see for sure. I mean, who really knows how these players are going to play? But yes, I would say the Lakers and Clippers are by far the favorites in the West.
hmm But I would say that on paper they're a lock. Like let's say that if the season was normal and both teams were playing at the
Oh,
Staples Center,
yeah,
Clippers and Lakers are a lock.
yes.
That's what I meant. But with the East, it's a toss up. And nobody's really sure. There's no real like prediction for the East. There's a couple of teams. And Justin, I'm wondering, who do you think is going to come out of the East?
It's a tough one. I mean, everyone's favoring Milwaukee here by like a landslide, I feel like. But I mean, we have not seen Giannis perform well enough to take a team to the finals in the playoffs. I mean, last year everyone's like, "Oh yeah." I mean, Ryan Hollins quoted this. He said Giannis is not. There's no chance he takes the Bucks to the finals last year, and he got a lot of hate for that. He thought. I mean, most people thought the Bucks were a lock to make the finals last year, and
Right.
they didn't make the finals last year. I mean, Giannis choked in the Eastern Conference Finals and lost to Kawhi. And the year before that, he lost too. He didn't make the finals. So I mean, he has not made the finals yet. So people are saying, I feel like a lot of people I'm seeing are saying the Bucks and Giannis are a lock in the East. I do not think that's the case. I honestly think there's 6 teams realistically that could win the East. I could see the Sixers, the Bucks, the Celtics, the Raptors, the Heat are all I think those 5 teams are locks. And I wouldn't even be surprised if the Pacers made it. The Pacers are a good basketball team, but I don't think they're likely to. I think they're definitely on the outside looking in, outside of those 5 teams. But I think any of those 6 teams wouldn't be a total shock to me if any of them made a finals run. I mean, I could see each team doing it. I think if I had to pick a team though, I I like the Miami Heat. I really
Mm.
do. I mean, they they have their closer in Jimmy Butler, which the Raptors lost their closer. the Heat took the Sixers closer. Tatum's still young. He's going to be the Celtics closer there, and if it's not, it's Kemba, and Kemba's never closed anything in the playoffs, so I don't trust him. And Giannis hasn't gotten the job done yet, so we'll see how that goes. And I like the matchup that the Heat would give the Bucks. I mean, you got Jimmy on Chris Middleton, Bam on Giannis. They got the defenders. They got Iguodala now in Miami. They got the veteran leadership. They have one of the best coaches in basketball on their sideline. I like the Heat, and I hate saying that as a Sixers fan. I mean, I despise the Heat since Jimmy left, but I really like the Miami Heat this year. I think they're a surprising team that could make a deep run because I do not think it will be the Bucks. I am really against the Bucks. I do not think they will win. I think they're kind of overrated. I think they were the number one team. I think they played in the weak East. And if you actually go through and look, how many games we had 20 something games left. Those 20 games were one of the hardest parts of the Milwaukee Bucks schedule there. They got the easier part of their schedule done. They played all the bottom feeders. They still had matchups with the Sixers, the Celtics, the Heat. They still had to play all those teams again. So I think you would have seen that number one seed Bucks record be a lot worse than what people see now. So I am certainly not sold on the Bucks. I do not think they are the lock everyone is giving. I would not be surprised if I think the Pacers are on the outside looking in, but I think if you go Sixers, Heat, Celtics, Raptors, I think all those teams have the equal shot at dethroning the Bucks in the East.
Let me tell you why you're wrong about the Bucks. When the Bulls were playing the Detroit Pistons in the late 80s, obviously who was the star of the Bulls at the time?
Michael Jordan.
Correct. Did he ever get past the Pistons?
Yes.
He didn't make it to the big dance till Scottie Pippen showed up, right?
Yeah.
I feel like the same thing is going to happen with Giannis. Because the same thing. What?
Who did he add to his roster this year?
I mean, he didn't add anybody, but if you look, Milwaukee, and Giannis it's hard for them to get to the big dance. They can't get to the big dance. They can't get to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, you have, for example, Michael Jordan with the Pistons. You have LeBron with the Celtics. It took a couple years, a couple seasons to get past them. And it took a while for them to beat them and get to the big dance, get to the finals. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen with Giannis. It's going to take some learning curves. And I think him losing in the conference finals, him losing to Boston in the first round 3 years ago was a bump in the road. And I think he can learn from this. And I think they'll be even more determined, especially with the team around him. You have Chris Middleton helping you. You have Brook Lopez, who's a shooter, and he's also a great big man. You have Robin Lopez off the bench, Eric Bledsoe. So I think this year could be the Bucks' year. And I think that they could definitely win the East.
I mean, I think they have a chance, but I do not like their chances
at
the rate people are giving them. I think they're overrated because I think everyone's saying, oh, it's Bucks. It's going to be the Bucks and Clippers or Lakers. Like, everyone's just locking that in right now. It's those three teams. I would not be surprised if the Bucks, Clippers, or Lakers. I wouldn't even be surprised if none of them are playing it with this new series, new setup that they have here with no fans or anything. I don't think there's any locks. I do not think anything is a guarantee anymore. We don't know how any of these teams are going to play. I mean, I just don't like the Bucks. I mean, I think they're a very good team. They deserve to be up at the top of the East, but I mean, I don't think they're nearly a lock like people are making them.
But the whole thing is, with Miami, for example, they're a very young team, so they're inexperienced.
They do have veteran presences there. They have
Andre Iguodala, Jimmy Butler. Right.
They have the veteran pieces there.
Right, but some of their key guys, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Herro, are young. Tyler Herro's only a rookie. Bam Adebayo's in his his third or fourth year, I believe.
Another thing, you mentioned Tyler Herro. He's going to be healthy for this. He's been dealing with that sprained ankle for a while now, and he's going to be back healthy. So that's another thing.
But I still think he's inexperienced, and I don't think that it would be hard for him to show up in the playoffs. I think of Ben Simmons. When we had to play Boston in the second round in the 2017-18 season. You know,
They have that veteran to rely on in Jimmy Butler. They have the guy there
right,
that will take the hold of the ball the last 5 minutes of the game and make everything happen,
right,
which is exactly why I think the Sixers will struggle. They lost Jimmy Butler. The Celtics, Tatum has developed nicely because he has gotten to play some very good players here. But I'm not sold on him yet. He's still a little young. He's not proven as much as Jimmy Butler. And then Giannis has not proven yet
but
that he
that's
can
why I'm
do
not
it.
sold on Miami. Is because Bam Adebayo really hasn't proved himself yet. I mean, he has. He's had a tremendous year this year, but like Tyler Herro hasn't improved himself yet. He's only had his rookie year.
But none of
He's
them
still
are
got
their best player. Their best player is Jimmy Butler, and he certainly has proved himself.
Right.
I mean, down the stretch of that Game 7 against the Raptors, it was him and Joel Embiid, and Joel Embiid wasn't great that game. He was playing well, but Jimmy Butler was the main guy that time. He was the main guy scoring and making things happen down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I like him. I think Jimmy is a guy that can control the game in the playoffs. They play very good defense down there in Miami, and I think you'll see a lot of that old school defense first basketball here once we get back into the swing of things here. I think this will be without the fans, without all this. I think it will go back to more old school, kind of like the old summer league vibes. How they had it. They had
5 to 6 games a day, no fans in attendance.
I think it's going to be
gym.
a lot of scrappiness, a lot of elbows are going to be thrown throughout there. People are going to be fighting a lot for the ball. I see a lot of guys that are going to be giving it their all here. I think it's going to be very scrappy. I think it's a good defensive team that's going to win. That's why I wouldn't count out the Raptors. The Raptors don't have the guy that's going to hit the shot late in the game, but they're a very good defensive team. I mean, it's honestly tough in the East. I really do not know. I don't feel confident saying any team's name. I mean, you point out the flaws of Miami, and I point out the flaws of Milwaukee. Each team has flaws. Like when you look at the Lakers and Clippers, they are certainly favorites.
Flawless.
They're basically flawless, and that's why you can say they're there. The only flaws they have is you don't know how they're going to come back after this, and that's a flaw that all 24 teams that are coming back have. They all have that flaw. But outside that, the Lakers and Clippers don't have any other flaws. When you get to the East, every team has at least one or two flaws outside of that, and that's why when you're looking at it, I truly do not know. I mean, the Bucks have their flaws. The Celtics have their flaws. They have no height. The Sixers don't have a guy to close it out, and they don't have a shooter.
Yeah.
You get to Indiana. Indiana's very inexperienced. They haven't gelled well. Oladipo would play, but
Oladipo's fine.
But he's been out for a while.
Yeah.
Who else? What other team did I
miss? Oh yeah, Oladipo did come back in.
Oladipo came back.
I'm sorry.
He didn't gel well with the Pacers, though they actually played better without him. But
they do play better without Oladipo.
So I think it's an interesting thing. They're just inexperienced as well. Every team in the East has their flaws.
But the thing is, a lot of the powerhouses in the East are young and inexperienced. So that's a problem. You know, obviously that's not a problem with the powerhouses in the West. You have the Clippers, who have Kawhi and Paul George, very experienced players, obviously. Lakers, LeBron and AD. So, but with the Eastern teams, a lot of the players are young.
Mm-hmm. None of them have made the finals. None of their star players have made the finals in the East.
But I still feel like really great about Milwaukee.
I would not feel great about them. Now, could they win? Yes, absolutely. But I honestly do not think so. I think
this is their year. I think this is their year where they don't fall apart in the conference finals.
They don't have that home court advantage. They were very good at home this year. They were very good. They were elite at home. Right. They had one of the best home court records in basketball, and now they don't have that. So that's another flaw in their list. Same with the Sixers. Sixers one of the best home court records in basketball. How will that translate into Orlando? We don't know. So that's another
probably not good. I mean, their road record is atrocious, and their record in Florida against Florida teams is terrible too.
So we do not know how this will go. So that's why I'm saying I would not feel confident saying any team's name, just like I don't feel confident saying Miami. But in the East, I think there are 5 true teams that can win it, and the Pacers are that 6th team looking on the outside looking in.
Definitely. So, let us know your thoughts. Let us know who you think is going to win in the East. Let us know who you think is going to win in the West. Do you not think it's going to be the Lakers and the Clippers? You're probably crazy if you don't think at least one of them. I'll tell you this, though. I think whatever team makes it to the East is going to get annihilated by the Lakers. I mean, you
You mean
can
the
debate the
Clippers?
Clippers. I
You
mean, you
mean
can
the
debate the
Clippers, right?
Clippers. That's a whole nother debate. I think we even had this debate. Probably
We
check out our
did.
other episode. And you did mention Ryan Hollins. Shout out to Ryan Hollins. If you haven't checked out that episode where we talked to
Great
him and interviewed
episode.
him, great episode. Check that out. It's our last episode. Check out his podcast too, Opinionated Footers with Brendan Haywood. Just had Jamal Crawford on recently. Check him out.
Mike Conley too.
Mike Conley's coming up. Shout out to Ryan Hollins and his show. The last thing that we wanted to get into today was the West. We did want to get into the West a little bit. We just talked about the East. We wanted to get into the 8th seed in the West because that's another toss-up. Just like the East, it's a toss-up.
But it's kind of a lock in the East. I mean, the Wizards
yeah.
aren't gonna make a run at the 8th seed unless they get John Wall back. And
that's even a what if because
there's no guarantee.
John
John
Wall's
Wall
not
comes
playing.
back.
John Wall said he wasn't playing.
Did he come out and say he's not playing?
He said he wasn't playing. He says
I
he
don't
feels
remember that, but if he did,
he says he feels 110%, but he does not want to play.
Well, I mean, they realistically don't have that great of a shot at making it. So
yeah. I mean, yeah, like Damian Lillard said, what's the point of playing if you don't, if you don't have anything to play for? Why would you play in useless games?
Exactly.
And risk getting injured. We talked about that too in some of our recent episodes. So Justin, I'm wondering who's your lock for not lock, but who do you have making that 8th seed in the West?
Okay, so let's look at the Western Conference first. We get the 8th seed currently, which is the 32 and 33 Memphis Grizzlies. Now, you need to finish 4 games within 4 games of the 8th seed to force a playoff against them, where you would play the 8th seed and you would end up having so the lower seed, whoever doesn't have the 8th seed. So let's say it is Memphis, and let's say it's the Trailblazers behind them, and they're within 4 games. The Trailblazers would have to win 2 games against Memphis to get in, whereas the Grizzlies just need 1 and they're in. So that's how it would work. And I honestly like the New Orleans Pelicans here. I mean, well, let's go through the Western Conference first. 32 and 33 is the Grizzlies, 29-37 Trailblazers, 28-36 Pelicans, 28-36 Kings, 27-36 Spurs, and then you get the Suns back at 26-39. So I don't think the Suns have a shot. I don't think the Spurs have a shot. I don't think the Kings really have a shot either. I think it's three-way race here between the Trailblazers, Pelicans, and Grizzlies. And honestly, I like the Pelicans. Pelicans are definitely my pick. They're only a game back of the Trailblazers, and they're 4 games back, so they'd be good enough to force the series against the Grizzlies. And you want to know what they did against the Grizzlies so far? They beat them by 10 the first time they played them, and the second time they played them, they beat them by 28 points. They can beat the Grizzlies twice. They've done it already this year. I like that. I'm scared the Trailblazers will finish better than them and beat them out for that because I really like the Trailblazers as well. But I do not see the young Grizzlies being able to hold on to the 8th seed. I think they will be upset by either the Trailblazers or the Pelicans. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the NBA finds a way to get Zion into the 8th seed. Zion's a big money maker for them.
The NBA would love that.
That would be a big money move for the NBA if they can get Zion in there, and I would love that. They will find a way to get him in my opinion. And if they are playing the Grizzlies, I think the Pelicans will beat the Grizzlies in 2 games. I think they would definitely do that.
I can see where you're coming from with the Pelicans. I really don't think the Grizzlies are that experienced to make the playoffs. I think the Pelicans are a lot more experienced, especially with Brandon Ingram coming out, being amazing this year. With Zion coming back, obviously. They have a veteran presence. Jrue Holiday, yes, exactly.
JJ
Redick.
Lonzo Ball. They're just more like when you go up against the Grizzlies, even with the Trailblazers, when you have them there, you go up against the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are more of a one-man show with a bunch of role players, with John Morant leading the way, and you get a bunch of role players around them. Whereas the Pelicans can hit you with Brandon Ingram, Jrue Holiday, Zion, Lonzo, JJ Redick from the outside. They have all these options. Portland Trailblazers, you get Dame with the ball, CJ outside, Hassan Whiteside inside. I do not know this, but if Nurkic is healthy, that is huge for the Trailblazers. I don't think he will play, but if he did play, that would be huge for them. And
Tremendous.
you get Melo in there, the veteran leadership that Melo brings. So that's not probably that great because Melo is a bad leader, but he has the experience, which is key.
And he's got a jump
And
shot too. They got the shooting
he's
too.
a floor splayer, yes. I think both those teams are more loaded, and I think injuries have hurt the Trailblazers and Pelicans because, Zion missed a lot of games there, which hurt the Pelicans, and games hasn't played at all yet for the Trailblazers. So I think either of those teams, whoever gets in, will upset the Grizzlies.
Yeah, well, honestly, for the reasons that we were just saying and for the reasons that you said for Portland, that's why I have Portland winning coming out of the West. That's why I have them taking that 8th spot. I think Damian Lillard is determined. Damian Lillard is one of those players that wants to win at all costs. And Damian Lillard shows up in the playoffs, and he wants to show up in the playoffs. You saw that in 2014 against the Rockets. You saw that against the Thunder last year. So Damian Lillard is going to show up. And Damian Lillard, when in those do-or-die situations, shows up. So I think he's going to do that in those play-in games. And honestly, yeah, like you said and like we were just saying, you got that team around him. You got C.J. McCollum. You got Hassan Whiteside, Melo, Yusuf Nurkic if he comes back healthy. So I think Portland's a lock for the A seed in my mind in that play-in series.
I don't think they're a lock, but you're right. If they play the Grizzlies, now they would have to win 2 games, but I do like their chances.
I gotta
and we don't know the schedule yet. We don't know who each team plays 8 regular season games. I do not know how that will work and who they are playing. I'll be curious to see though, because I think that once you see that, you'll be able to more of make predictions on how games will go, and then you can kind of figure out who will finish where in the standings and see if there even will be a play-in game. Because if these teams have to end up playing if the Grizzlies and Pelicans end up playing the top teams like the Rockets, Nuggets, Thunder, Clippers, Lakers, if that's their matchups, and meanwhile the Grizzlies are out here playing poor teams like the Suns, Kings, Spurs, Mavericks, and somebody else, I would take the Mavericks. I think they're going to win enough. I mean, I would take the Grizzlies because I think they're going to win enough games that there wouldn't even be a play-in game. So we'll have to see how the scheduling works out for that.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. But I think on paper, if there was a play-in series and like everything was normal, I would give it to Portland, no question. I am so confident in Damian Lillard, and I think that is such an underrated. It's a little bit underrated as far as a duo in the NBA. Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum. I think they're one of the best duos in the league. I think they're easily top 10. I would top 10.
I would not go that far. I think C.J. McCollum is a good role player, but his shot has been very inconsistent throughout his career so far. He has time to change that. He's not an elite dribbler. He can bring up the ball, but he is not flashy or doesn't have great handles.
To me, he's like
an okay passer. He's just a role player, in my opinion. I think he's a 6th man.
To me, he's like a watered down Klay Thompson.
I wouldn't even say that. I think that's giving him too much praise. I mean,
I would give him all the praise. I think they're a top 10 duo. I mean, I think they're just tremendous.
I disagree with that.
All right. Let us know what you think.
Next show we can have a debate on
absolutely.
top 10 duos.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, let us know what you guys think about the 8th seed in the West. Who you guys have? Yeah, that's going to wrap up this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to check out the link in the description to help donate and sign petitions for the BLM movement. Check out our Patreon. Help support the show. Check out our social media, Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and have a good one.